Hey guys, Alex here. Today I'm talking with Mike Stunn about budgeting, and he's been kind enough to jump on this call with me today to walk us through the process that he uses with his clients, where he helps them come up with money in their budget and start saving that or putting it towards paying off some debt. So Mike is a graduate of the Financial Coach Master Training from Ramsey Solutions, and he's got over 10,000 hours of learning, and he's absorbed the tools that are really necessary to lead his clients through those financial obstacles and to kind of help them with those emotional stresses that typically arise around the subject of money. So Mike became debt-free back in 2012, and that inspired his own financial recovery. So he began sharing those principles that he learned with family and friends and started getting really amazing results. And this led Mike to transition from being an electrical engineer to setting up his own business, Money Like Mike. And he's now a full-time financial coach helping people out with this. Now, Mike believes that financial coaching is all about teaching the tools that will provide confidence and certainty when it comes to handling personal finances and ultimately building wealth. And so working one-on-one with his clients while following proven principles, Mike will teach you how to put in place a tailored cash flow plan, allowing you to permanently get out of debt and build clear future financial goals. So Mike believes, and I agree, when you know better, you do better. So Mike, thanks for joining me on this call today. We appreciate you helping us out with the budget. I know that a lot of people struggle with that. So I appreciate you being here with me.
Thank you, and thank you for the intro. It's going to be a good video recording to share with both of our audiences. So I'm excited.
Absolutely. And I'd love to hear a little bit more about you. So you got out of debt back in 2012. Can you tell us a little bit about, like, what was it like for you before you made that transition to being debt free?
Oh, certainly. Before 2012, I spent years of stress and worry, sleepless nights. I had lost relationships. Money was a problem, not only in my intimate relationship, but sometimes friendships and family as well. And just made a lot of mistakes as a 20-year-old man, or really kind of a boy at that time. I wasn't ready to start growing up, and I spent quite a bit of money that I didn't have, meaning that I went and borrowed money on things that I thought would make me happy, and they didn't. So I came to realize two things. One, debt sucks, and material things won't bring you happiness.
Yeah, that's sage advice, I think, in this, especially in this day and age. And so now that you've kind of learned that for yourself and you've made that transition from kind of being that boy, like you said, what do you feel that you're sort of able to do now or to have now that you couldn't before?
Uh, I want to go so far as to say anything I want. So I do believe that we can have anything. We can buy anything. We can do anything, just not everything. Right? So right now, the life that I wanted to live as a man in my 30s with no children, I'd love to travel. And that's one of the things I've been able to really do full time for the last 4 years. And that's what my foreseeable future will continue to look like. And today I live on Fraser Island in Queensland in I don't know, as a caretaker in a couple $1 million property lot, if you will. So I get paid to look after the property as if you were to own one, right? You got to cut the grass and fix things when they break and those kind of things. But people also come in and rent out the 3 houses that are on board. So, guests check in, do washing, those kind of things. But the lifestyle, I can sit up in my bed, look out and see the ocean. And I hear the ocean 24 hours a day kind of thing. So that's what I wanted to do. So to answer your question, I get to kind of do whatever I want. That's temporary, right? I do that for a short period of time. This one is 7 months, and then I'm going to move on and do another one for 6 months. So I'm going to house sit in another place like that. So that is the lifestyle I want to live. That's the season I'm in now. What will I do in the future after that? I don't know, but I have the flexibility to be able to choose what I want to do without the stress of not making the next month's payment, or in this case, paying utility bills because I'm looking after someone else's property where I don't have
Yeah,
to pay any of those things.
that makes a lot of sense. It's kind of like being debt free and being financially free. It creates lifestyle freedom as well. It's not just like, oh, I've got some money now. That's cool. It's like it gives you the option to do more with your life than kind of struggle paycheck to paycheck, if I'm hearing you right.
You're spot on. And it gives you that time freedom, right? Like if you're alluding to that of choosing to get up and go 9 to 5. If you want to do that, do that. I no longer want to do that. As you mentioned, I'm a former engineer, which is 40 or more hours a week if you travel. And I no longer have to set an alarm to wake up in the morning. Like I don't expect to set an alarm for the rest of my life. I wake up with the sun. I tend to go to bed a couple hours after the sun goes down, depending on where I am in the world. And that's the lifestyle that I love.
Yeah, that sounds like true freedom, not having to get up to an alarm and punch the clock for sure.
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious, like you have an amazing story and like the opportunities available to you now are, I mean, being able to take care of a mansion, even if you're mowing the lawn, like that sounds like a pretty cool trade. And so I'm curious, like as a financial coach working with wealth and working with people to figure all of this out, what do you think are like the biggest myths about money that we tend to hold in this day and age?
To keep the theme around the focus of the budget and the cash flow plan, which are the same thing, it's just what resonates with you better. It is that creating or sticking or even creating a budget or a cash flow plan, it feels limiting, right? It can feel restricting. I've heard that many times. And even myself, I didn't want to put numbers on a piece of paper or a spreadsheet in this case, or an app these days, that it just felt like, oh, I don't have any money. I can't go have fun, or I can't spend money on this or that. It's actually quite the opposite, right? So that was the myth part. And what we'll walk through today, if you practice and you take active steps to do what I teach and share with you, then you'll actually feel the freedom. So I have another term that I live by with the budget is it's permission to spend. Right? So it gives me permission to spend in each of these categories. I no longer have any debt, and my monthly payments or monthly bills are very, very minimal, right? You got a cell phone bill and insurance and car and stuff like that. But outside of that, there's just not much to spend money on. Food is, and we're going to talk about quite a bit of that. But other things, having fun, right? I am a natural saver. And if I did not put money in my fun budget, then that I would probably not have any fun, right? That's why I attracted a woman in my life that likes to spend money and have fun, right? She gets me out of the house type of thing.
Nice. Yeah, so it kind of sounds like being intentional, being smart, putting a little bit of that effort into your money. It might be uncomfortable for people at first, but once they sort of take the reins of their finances and they're willing to kind of face the reality of what they're doing and kind of take a deeper look at what's going on, it's empowering them to be intentional about where they save, and therefore they get to make more intentional decisions about where they spend. So it's no longer, oh, I just, I go to the movies here and there, I eat whatever food, I don't really think about it or track it. And it moves towards, because I'm intentional with how I spend money on entertainment and lifestyle, I'm able to budget and to live in a way where I can actually save up to put my kids through school, or I can save up for a vacation, or I can pay off the debt and then just like sleep at night without all of that anxiety. It's a little bit of work to create a lot of peace of mind, I think is what I'm getting from that.
Certainly. And that's right where I was as well, going through this transition of not creating the cash flow plan and then starting to do it. I didn't have to go out to eat and think about where am I going to spend 40 or 50 bucks, or where am I going to not spend 40 or 50 bucks because I'm spending it tonight on food, drinks, or whatever. And then going now to knowing I've already allocated money to my investments, to retirement, to my kids' college, or whatever that is for you. I know I've done those, so I can actually freely spend this $40 or $50 a night without regret.
Nice. Awesome. Well, we talked a little bit about, I guess, walking through the process of what this looks like, because I think a lot of people, when we think about our money, it's kind of this nebulous idea. It's like, oh, I don't have money. Maybe I don't make a lot of money. Maybe I've got kids. Maybe I have bills. I've got debt. And it just never feels like there's any money there. And it's not until we really take a deeper look at where the money is going that we start to see. It's not that I don't have money. It's just that I'm not helping my money to work for me. So would you like to kind of walk us through like how you help people change their perspective and see what kind of wealth they actually do have available to start saving or spending more intentionally on the things that are important to them?
Certainly. And we're going to jump into a spreadsheet that I've created, and it's a cash flow plan that is to be created every single month. And I'm going to share my screen now just to give you a visual of what that looks like. So here you go. You see that, Alex?
Yep, I see it on the screen there, and that should be getting recorded for everybody at home as well.
Perfect. All right. Now, this is a cash flow planner, and it is to be done every single month. Every month is different. Your income may fluctuate. You may have Christmas in December if you want to buy presents. If someone's getting married, someone has a birthday, every month is different. So some of the things will fluctuate and some things stay the same. If you have a house and a mortgage, those things tend to stay the same. If you're an employee, your salary may actually be the same. When I was an engineer, I could do this, and it was pretty standard for every month, with a few months in there with, Christmas and birthdays, like I mentioned. But I was a single man in my 20s when I was an engineer, and now my income is quite variable, right? Sometimes I have high income months, sometimes I have low. And again, this is why it's called personal finance. That's why I do it every single month, because every single month is going to be different. The very first thing I want you to do, so step one here, identify all of your sources of income and choose the frequency in which they come in. So this is your net salary, investment income, bonuses, and other income. And with this spreadsheet, I've created it where it's weekly, fortnightly, monthly, these kind of things, right? You get to choose that, the amount, and this white section is calculated automatically. So anyone that wants access to this, please feel free to reach out and I can send you this. The green section is the only part that you need to change, and everything else gets automatically calculated. So is that clear so far, Alex?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. And I think it'll be really cool when we start to plug some numbers in and help people get some context for what this actually looks like in practice. And so I'm curious, like, for people that are, maybe they're a single mom, or maybe they have a husband and a bunch of kids, what would you say is maybe like the median average salary that you see among your clients who are kind of in that that type of person, right? That like family person that's trying to make ends meet?
Typically, I do see individuals and families are in between $60,000 and $100,000. So that's a wide range, I understand. But that is the typical. I've had other clients that make considerably more, and a few clients that haven't really had an income at all. So I've worked with a range, but on average, I would say between 60 and 100.
Yeah, and that's for like an entire family, like the husband and the wife contributing to the same fund and everything. What about for people that are single? What does that range tend to look like?
It's closer to the $60,000 range.
Oh, interesting. Okay, because I think I remember when I was working like a retail job, like the salary was not great per year, and I think there are a lot of people out there who, they've got kids. It's like a single mom. She's working really hard. She's making car payments, and, it's a struggle. And so it'll be interesting to kind of see, for somebody who might not have a lot of money coming in, or might not feel like they have a lot of access to opportunities to save money, like what are some areas that people tend to spend money on that we can start to free a little bit of that up. So do you want to use some example numbers just to kind of start to get a feel for, I guess, maybe what's the average that you see in your business helping people come up with a budget based on, you know, some of these expenses and things like that?
All right, perfect. Yeah, let's, well, we've only covered the income side of things. Do you have in mind that a number that works good for you?
Yeah, I mean, I think, why don't we do like maybe 2,500? I think that's a little bit higher than some people make from their, you know, their 9 to 5, and maybe a little bit less than other people make, but maybe it's a good average to start with here.
Okay.
And that would be like a, you know, maybe a single parent monthly income or something like that.
All right. And do they have any other jobs or income coming in?
You know, I think a lot of people probably have little side hustles here and there. Maybe they sell cupcakes on the side, or, you know, they do things like that. But yeah, I'm not too sure about things like investment income. What do you normally see with your clients? Do people generally have a lot of things going on in terms of other sources of income besides their jobs, or is it mostly just that salary?
It's mostly salary and a side hustle, like you mentioned. So yeah, investment income is usually zero. Net bonuses can range up to $10,000. I've seen is pretty common for an annual bonus. And then other income, like you said, it could be the cupcakes or driving Uber, those kind of things. Mm-hmm. And that can bring in $500 to $2,000 a month, depending on where you are.
Well, that's a pretty good amount.
Yeah.
Very cool. Awesome. So yeah, other income, I guess that's pretty variable. But, you know, people that are watching the video, if they have an idea of maybe they babysit after work, you know, maybe they crochet and they sell things on Facebook Marketplace or something like that, they can probably come up with an idea if they look through their statements of, you know, how much additional income that might bring in. And then how about expenses? This one, I'm sure it's different for everybody, but I guess using just like a typical person that you might work with.
All right. So I'm going to add in $500 for monthly income as a little side hustle in this case. All right. So now, once you have all your income, now we're going to dive into the expenses side of things. And I've grouped these into different categories. You can change these if you want. And I've put things in there that you may not have listed for your monthly expenses, and that's okay. It's just to get the ideas flowing of where your money does actually go or where you want it to go. And so identify all of your expenses and choose the frequency of which they come. So the very first thing I do, and I believe that everyone should do, is giving, right? That's just my belief. And everyone's belief is different. But if in this case, if you stick to the 10% recommendation of giving that I have here, then this person would give away $300 every month. Now, I may hear someone say, I can't afford to give away $300, or I can't afford to give away 10% of my income. That's very common, and that used to be me until I realized and made it a priority. And what that means is I was told if, like, you have 100% of your income, you give away 10%, so you have 90% of that left, right? So in this case, $3,000 minus 300, you have $2,700 left per month. And when it was told to me, if you can't live on 90% of your income, you're not going to live on 100% of your income. I was like, man, damn, that's right. Because at the time, I was spending well in excess of my income. I was spending 125% or 150% of my income because I was borrowing money. And it wasn't until someone said that to me, I was like, shit. And then it became a priority. And this goes with investing as well, right? Very commonly, I've read and heard, pay yourself first, right? And what that means is make that a priority, make that a value. And that usually is a 10% number in some of the books that I've read. So when you pay yourself intentionally 10%, then you have 90% left. And giving is the same way. So this is my belief, and we're going to go through this as if this is the same. Your clients or my clients may believe that. If not, that's okay as well. Nothing's wrong with that. Then, after giving, I personally go to savings, right? Emergency fund, retirement fund, investments, other, wherever you want that to go. So I recommend 15% of your income, right? So in this example, every month into retirement, this person would save $450, right? 15%. Yeah.
So they would, what would be the priority here in terms of, because you've got like your savings for, if things go bad and you need to, make a car payment or something, or you need to fix your car or something like that. And then there's the retirement fund, and is the retirement fund maybe a lower priority than getting to a certain fixed number in the emergency fund, or how do you generally coach people through that?
Yes, I apologize. I was thinking it from my perspective, right? So I've already gotten out of debt, so I'm 100% debt free, and I already have an emergency fund. And then I start investing for retirement, the 15%. So my apology, that's where I am at now. Most of my clients are not there, so their focus needs to be on getting out of debt, right?
So instead of applying it to retirement, it would be all into debt as quickly as possible, or are you trying to get them to, a certain amount in their emergency fund and then tackle debt?
No, so well, yes and no. The 7 baby steps that I teach, number 1 is $1,000 saved as a starter emergency fund. Right? Number 2 is then to list all of your debts and pay off the smallest first until you became debt free. So you want to become debt free in baby step number 2. Number 3 is to go back to that $1,000 starter emergency fund and then beef that up to 3 to 6 months of expenses. So 1, 2, and 3 are done in order. And then number 4 is where you start saving for retirement at 15%.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
That sounds like a good priority. Kind of make sure that you've got some backup, and then really aggressively attack that debt that's just draining money month after month, and then making sure to shore up that emergency fund again.
Right. So my apologies. I'm going to take that off zero in this example to assume people have like a car payment and student loans, maybe a credit card, those kind of things. And we'll get to those towards the end of these expenses. Now, food
is definitely a big one.
Yeah, food is a big one. And I've split these up into groceries and eating out. Everyone's different. Some people this works for, and some people it doesn't. You just got to be willing and able to notice what type of lifestyle you live, your personality traits. So here I'm a bit flexible in how you pay for this, how you structure this out. But a lot of the times I will recommend, if you are in debt and you don't have an emergency fund, you shouldn't be going out to eat at all. Right?
It becomes a matter of priorities.
Yeah. And on average in the US, an average family spends $3,000 a year on going out to eat. It doesn't sound like much, but that adds up over time. That's nearly $300 a month. That could be going to retirement, could be going to your emergency fund, could be going towards your debt, right? Where do your values lie? And you have to come up with that, right? What is your priorities?
And a lot of people think that, eating healthy is really expensive, and that's why they have to eat fast food. And if you actually break it down, if the cost of a meal of, at a fast food joint is $7 to $10, at a restaurant maybe $10, $15, $20. If you compare that to a pound of good organic ground beef or something like that, it might be $5.99, $6.99 a pound, but that's going to be, a good 4 servings of beef. And so when you divide that per meal, that comes down to, $1.50, $2 per meal instead of 15. And so then you're saving $13 per meal. How many times are you going out to eat every day? Once, twice? Are you going out more on the weekends? What does that look like? How many hundreds per week is that? And then is it just you doing that? Is it you and your husband and 3 of your kids all getting $10 meals 2 or 3 times a week? That $150 a week is, $600 a month. And if, you had some of the skills and habits of meal prepping, that could be down quarter it, half it, a couple $100 right there. So I think that's one of the things from my perspective as a health coach that a lot of people struggle with is they don't necessarily have the perspective yet of just how much money they could be saving.
And from my experience, the control of my money came first, and then my health came second. And it wasn't until 2015 when I started focusing on health and learning all this stuff and doing what I now believe is right for me and my body. It's slightly different from what you do and what you teach, and that's okay, because I've learned everyone's individual, right? Personal finance is personal. Your health journey is also personal. Everyone's body is different. At least that's my belief. So when I went from my poor eating habits, going out to eat or buying shit meat or cakes, I remember I ate a lot of cakes, and then learning what my body wanted and listened, I've now moved away from drinking. So I've actually been sober for 6 years now. So no alcohol.
Congrats.
Yeah, cheers. Thank you. And then at the same time, I stopped buying meat for my house. And I still ate it when I went out to dinner or a friend's house or work functions, those types of things. I still had it in my life, and I slowly incorporated it in what, and then I went pescatarian for a bit. Then I went full vegan for a bit, and now vegetarian. So I've shifted and I've trialed and errored what my body wants. In saying all of that, my monthly budget on food, because I consider booze at the time, I included that in my food budget because I bought it at the grocery store, and it went in half, right? You mentioned 25% savings. Mine went in half very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And now that was single, Mike. Now I'm in a relationship, and Elle and I have a monthly budget of $600 a month for food. And we typically are under that.
For two people, which is, I know a lot of people are spending more than that just on themselves. So that's a big upgrade for sure.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. So there is definitely a lot of money to be saved in the food if we kind of have the insight and the perspective there. I'm curious, like there are kind of a lot of places to look at where you're spending money. There are different options for things like, is it possible to move somewhere cheaper and actually save a couple $100s a month by maybe being willing to have a smaller house, maybe options around getting utilities for cheaper, calling them and saying, hey, we're gonna switch internet carriers to find something cheaper, see if you can get a better deal because they want to keep you. There are a bunch of different options like that for saving money, as we go down this list. I'm curious, like, what's the most money that you've ever helped somebody to save, kind of, by getting on a call with them and coaching them through this process and showing them where the money was going?
Yeah, I would say most recently in the last 18 months, with the pandemic and stuff around the world, it's been going out to eat and buying the coffees and stuff like that. Especially in Australia, coffee is a big thing. And the money that was, I had a client, she saved probably $1,200 on some of the things you actually just mentioned. Food and going out to eat was a big one, majority of it. The phone bill, right? Just reducing the phone bill. Then I have found, especially in Australia, it may be different around the world, but in Australia, you get enough data on your phone to be able to hotspot and use internet from your phone, eliminating having home Wi-Fi for whatever reason. You don't need home Wi-Fi, or vice versa. Maybe you only need home Wi-Fi and you don't need a lot of phone data, right? Those kind of things you need to weigh up for you and your lifestyle. What Elle and I did, we got rid of our home Wi-Fi. We didn't have to pay for that, so just got rid of it, and we had a phone bill. Right now, I think we pay $60 a month for 2 phones for like 60 gigs of data a month or something like that. Maybe more, I can't remember.
Nice. Yeah, and just that's kind of just one example, like looking at the phone, looking at here and there, and then if you're saving $10 here and there, 20, $30, if you switch to that internet, you save $20 or you cut that out entirely. I know that my Spectrum is like $80 a month to have pretty fast internet, but being able to get a cheaper deal there, or being able to just use my mobile, that's $80, and then you add that with well, how much are you saving from groceries? How much could you save if you quit smoking, or if you cut back
Yes.
by half a pack a day, started smoking half instead of a full pack? How much would you save if you started walking more rather than driving everywhere? Like, there are all of these things that can kind of add up, and like $1,200 is seriously, that's pretty incredible. That's a lot of money that a lot of people don't realize. They just say, I don't have the money. There's no way I can come up with the budget for this. There's no way I can get out of debt. And sometimes having a little bit of strategy and a little bit of perspective can show us what we've been missing, and help us to start to make that transition. And so it's awesome that you help somebody come up with $1,200 a month. That's,
Yeah,
people can do a lot with $1,200 a month, for sure.
certainly. You can do a lot. I actually live on $1,200 a month, roughly, right? Like my lifestyle costs that.
Right.
But another win, like just last week, I had a really good win from a client, and she increased her net worth by $20,000 by doing one thing. That one thing was selling her $35,000 Jeep and buying a $12,000 Jeep. So she increased her net worth by $20,000, reduced her monthly payment from $700 to $250, right? By just doing the one move.
Wow.
Right. So
That's a pretty simple fix with a big return, for sure.
Yeah. And so quickly,
awesome.
Like I was quite surprised at how fast she was able to get that ball rolling of selling and buying a car. Like it was awesome to witness.
Yeah, that's really cool. Like, when people are really willing to look at things differently, they're able to seriously transform their lives. They're able to make some really big changes with maybe not as much effort as they might have been afraid of. That's really cool. And I'm sure a lot of people watching this right now are starting to ask, like, oh man, I got to get on the phone with Mike and have him help me figure out how to come up with $1,200. Mike, where can people find you if they want to know more about your coaching, or learn more about budgeting, or getting out of debt, or just to connect with you?
Thank you, Alex. You can find me at moneylikemike.com, or I'm on Facebook and Instagram, both at Money Like Mike. And I would like to offer whoever's watching this a free guide. So if you go to, I will share this new screen here. So this is my website here, moneylikemike.com. And if you just click the top banner, you'll be able to find 8 easy ways to find $10,000 in 1 year. And again, a lot of people find that much quicker than 1 year, but these are 8 easy things to do throughout your journey of getting control of your money. So I'd love to offer that to you and your guests.
Awesome. Well, thank you. And before we get going, is there anything else that I didn't ask, or that we didn't go over, that you think would be really important for people who are watching this video and they're trying to come up with more money, they're trying to save money, get out of debt? Something that we haven't gone over that would help them to get better at budgeting or coming up with money?
Try it, right? Everything we talked about, or something that you have an idea about, just try it. That's what I encourage people to do, even if it's only for 90 days, 3 months. We as humans can do anything for 90 days. That's actually how I started my sobriety, right? I actually just started for 3 or 4 weeks. I was like, I won't drink for 3 or 4 weeks, and then I'll have a big weekend. And then it just continued, and it continued, and it continued. So doing a cash flow plan of just try it, right? Let me tell you, the first month you will suck. It's not going to be good, right? I sucked. And then over time, the second month's gonna be better. The third month, you're like, oh, I'm getting the hang of this. And now I'm in year 12, 15, whenever I started first doing this. And it's just super easy now. It's a couple minutes a month, where in the beginning, I was spending probably hours a week, it felt like. And just give yourself some grace, and know that it's a growing, and it's a process to get good at something.
Yeah, practice doesn't make perfect, but it makes us permanently better than what we were before. And so just like, learning how to count calories, or learning how to meal prep, or learning how to, do a certain workout, really applying yourself, being willing to mess up, to kind of learn and course correct, is really the path to getting good at anything. So Well, I want to say thank you so much for joining me on the video and for walking us through this process and giving us some insight into how to actually look at our finances and have better control over it, better financial health, and to really be intentional about what we do. And guys, if you want to check out Mike, his website is moneylikemike.com, and you can download this free guide, 8 easy ways to save $10,000 in 1 year. All right, guys, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time.